I know it's been a very long time since I posted that first episode reaction to Sword Art Online, but I've just gotten busy with other stuff, and I was actually also severely confused by the fact that I could not find a dubbed version of this movie anywhere. I thought, apparently foolishly, that 7 whole months after the English dubbed release in the US, I should be able to find an English dub version of the movie somewhere. Whether on the actual pathways or the less than legal pathways. But I didn't find anything. So we're watching the original sub version today, which I like watching it all in one language, but whatever, I'll deal with it. What I was also confused about is the views on the last video, right? Because at first they were just going up steadily, like one by one, as in no one was interested, which I totally expected. Then suddenly, almost overnight, there was just a straight jump as 300 people watched the reaction, and then after that 300 people bump, the views just plateaued again, and next to no one was watching. So I was immensely confused. Plus, not to mention that the average time watched is like 51 seconds, which means that over half of you just clicked off immediately. So, do I really look that bad? Whatever. Just a reminder, this isn't my first time watching Sword Art Online. I actually watched this movie in the theaters when it came out. It was the first time I watched an anime movie in the theaters, and I loved it. There was like every other showing in my theater were all subs, and there's one time per day to watch the dub version. So me and my sister, we went to go watch this. So let's not waste any more time, and let's just get back into SAO. Just again to mention, in case you didn't see the last one, if you do like my SAO reactions and you just don't want me to wear this, I'll be more than happy to watch it just, on normally. Is that blue one the same guy from the first episode? Ah, shoot, I can't remember. It looks like him. Yeah, no, it's probably him. And here's Kirito. Already rocking his classic Black Swordsman outfit in the beta before getting it. I love these moments when we get to see the UI, because there's some fun details of the SAO UI is always so interesting. How they've blended minimalism with decent functionality for this kind of fantasy world. The physicality here can tell you how they move. It can tell you that he isn't actually played by a guy. Sword Art Online. Aggressive Aria of a Starless Night. So many words. I do like the fact that Progressive gives us, rather than just replaying the original first few episodes of the show and in the beginning through Kirito's eyes, it actually shows us through Asuna's eyes, because especially later in the series, she's just as much of a main character as he is. We don't really see her brother at all in the main story, do we? I feel like when I first saw this in the theater, I was surprised that she had a brother in the first place. But mom's still acting like mom. No wonder she had problems with her mother and decided to go into the fantasy world. Because she's doing her best out here. But if she's not getting recognized, then what's the point? That's another thing to think about. In the show, after they all get out, they're all in a special, PTSD SAO school. But you never really think about talk about the fact that they had lives and friends beyond SAO in the first place, and they just lost touch with them, never spoke with them again. The idea of entrance exams to get into high school is such a weird concept to someone who lives in the U.S. To, I mean, in the U.S., you do have to take some tests moving from middle school to high school for placement, right? Like you can take a math test to see if you'll be in a higher level math class or a low level math class, or at least that's how it was when I got through. I don't know if they changed the um, curriculum, so I don't know if that's still the case, but that's how it is when I went to school in California. I just realized that I never actually heard Asuna's Japanese. No, I have. She sings the OP of this movie, right? No, I've heard little clips of it. I think it's funny that they're using an actual game. You're so used to seeing like fake games or stuff like that, or stuff that having an actual game on that screen is hilarious. Yes, that's why I'm not so much of a fan of fighting moves games, because I'm just not good at mastering combos and that all those button presses. For me, if I'm playing against my friends, it's just button mashing. This is cool, just like showing a video games tournament on the giant screens outside. They do a really good job early on in this movie of making these two actually good friends, which is great and terrible for what happens later in the movie. Gee, seriously though, I said it last time, I'll say it again. I would try so hard to get SAO. And as much as I would say I would love to play it, I probably wouldn't be in this incident because I would never get it, be able to get the first few. It's funny when stories like these give backstories for the simplest of things. I mean, you wouldn't think, oh, hey, her special hairstyle has like a backstory, right? She came, it was given to her by this person, right? But these prequel stories always feel a need to like give extra significance to the random things, whether it's a hairstyle or a pair of dice. 6th, 2022. At this point, it was taking so long to get watch these episodes again. I thought I might go back to my original plan of waiting for SAO day, but that was a bad idea. He got it. Also, the nerve gear. Yeah, that nerve gear in the thumbnail looks so bad, but I just had to do it. You made it. So it's extra shocking for her parents, considering she didn't buy the game for herself. Right? She didn't tell them she was playing. They just found her in here with the headset on her and just out. Speaking of which, there's like a disc box. So is there like a Nintendo Switch like chip that needs to be inserted into the headset? Right? What's the point of an actual box? That's all. That's actually super useful and probably something I would do. As much as I love character customization, I just get way too impatient, and I just feel I'm way too impatient. I'm just I can't choose, right? Whether it's like, oh man, does this look more like me, or does like this look more like me, and then I just go down a hole. If I could just be like, yes, choose it on this picture, I'd do it. Of course, then I'd probably hate what it spits out and just change change anyway into like a nicer looking version of me. Does anybody know where, if anyone, is selling like a model of Aincrad? Right, a scale model. Because I would just love to have that on my desk. I have so much nonsense here. You can see some of it back there. I have so much more, but I would love to have a scale model of Aincrad. And just imagine, this is her first VRMO, so it's like the shock of waking up like, what the hell? This feels so real. I love that in this you can see that the NPCs have little crystals above them their heads. Wait, did the NPCs in Sword Art have any? Were there NPCs in Sword Art besides the enemies? Everyone can hear because she's just freaking out. Yeah, she is obviously a newbie, so why the hell are all of you staring? That she would choose such a freaky avatar. And why such weird eyes, too? Stop saying your name out loud. Why are these people still watching? Yeah, well, that's half the fun of the game. Games like these is that you could play as yourself, you could play an enhanced version of yourself, or you could roleplay. I guess making her avatar look like her real self makes sense considering she used her real name. So the whole mirror thing doesn't do much anyway. And here it is. Everyone, how many people had this see ya later, have like just a normal goodbye until no exit button? I always wondered in SAO how much of another person's UI can you see? Right? Is it like, can friends see a little bit? Can strangers see a little bit? People in a party? Or can anyone see what's on your screen? Oh yeah, this reminds me. The first time I watched this movie, I really wanted to see like a side by side comparing like this version compared to the original episode version. I don't know if one's on YouTube. Maybe I'll post my own. Just like I said last time, Kaiba had to have such a mind to put up this whole blood transformation like animation. And now in this version, there's like, oh, blood and sparks. This blood wasn't enough last time. Man, I really am sorry that I didn't watch this immediately after the first episode, 2 episodes. It would have been more interesting that way because I would have more fresh memory of what happened in that versus this one and do a better comparison. I didn't have the time to just rewatch it on my own. But there is an extra effect on the face as well. In the original episode 1, it was just like a black. This one, now there's like a whole smoky thing over there. See, when you show the 3D model like this, Einstein is like super tall. But then when you show us the exterior drawing of Aincrad, then it's so much shorter and wider than it should be. And just the shock and horror of all this. Oh, and the fact that there are more people than just Kirito running off to try and get a head start. It just can't even imagine the mental processing to try to understand what happened here. And this too, it's just like the beginning of the first episode, or at least, mirroring the events where Kirito runs and takes them out, and these two don't have that much of. I love that we get to see Misumi's background too, despite her basically being erased when the show was originally adapted, and they reused bits of progressive to make those first episodes of the anime. We get to see her and how she values Asuna's friendship enough to just, she's hurt by what's said, but it's not no matter what, right? This can't have been the only promise broken this early on in the game, right? We can do this, we can get this together, but it never pans out. It's also fun when these characters have becoming so powerful and so, like, Kirito especially, but the rest of them too have grown insanely powerful by the or current aspects of the anime, that going back to the beginning and seeing like practicing and grinding for the first time is it's great. The reason Progressive exists is because the best some of the best part of SAO is literally in Sword Art Online, and it goes through the game so freaking fast. So I appreciate the fact that they come back to it and that we're getting a whole like movie series side along. Oh, this just popped in my head. The idea that yes, when originally he makes your avatar looks like your body, but while you're grinding through the game, does your avatar change? Are you stuck in the same body forever, or does your avatar grow? Right? Like, do you get muscle as you work harder? It's an interesting concept. Like, especially like, what if you're heavyweight, heavy set in real life? Zelda pots. I forgot about this. What if you're heavyweight in real life, and obviously that's how you're gonna appear inside SAO? Can you get fit, or are you just permanently stuck that way? And like, can you even if your appearance doesn't change, does your physicality change? I mean, yes, you can level up and put your points into like strength and skill, but does your how much do your actual physical abilities play into your stats? Yeah. Personally, I'm worried. If I saw that, I'd be worried that, the chest itself would be a monster. Oh, like she said. And here it is, the first sign of Misumi's. She has an inherent, I don't know if they call it selfishness or like self-preservation. That right, Kirito doesn't have. It's why at the end of the day, Asuna leaves her and sticks around with Kirito, even after like they apologize and kind of make up at the end of this movie. But despite that, Misumi has this selfishness that is so different. I mean, I'd say I don't want to use the word selfishness because it's not like it comes out of a place of like anger or fear. The animation of her trying to catch everything. She keeps saying that. Even if it was my first time watching the movie, I'd feel somewhat suspicious. And, and that's extra suspicious if you watch the original anime, you know she's not in any of their adventures going forward, but still. Even if we take this movie completely on its own, the fact that they keep bringing this up is in itself a red flag of dialogue. We will stay together, we will stay together, we will stay together. But the basic rule of movies, they're not going to stay that way. Is that even like foreshadowing at this point? It's just like, this is definitely what's going to happen. But the fact that there's a version of the enemy that alerts more and calls a horde, that is so video game feeling. More than just, hey, look, there are monsters that explode and have health bars. It's like, there are stuff that you find in a tactile video game. Oof. The fact that when you activate a skill, you're stuck going through it, even if you can't cancel it. The horror. Seeing all the dots light up. And the fact that there are still more of those fruit monsters, that horde summoners, in the horde, which means that there is more than a chance of you swinging your blade around and calling even more. Oh, and this too, a whole bunch of climbable steps made specifically for people to jump up the top of the cliff. This is where that inherent selfishness, self-preservation, whatever you want to call it, comes into play for Mito. Because right there, when it comes down to it, with risking her own life compared to trying to save Asuna's, it's not worth it. Oh, and just because things just have to be worse, right? It's like, yes, you beat the Horde, good for you, except there's a boss monster. See, and this is what's worse than just leaving her, not coming back in time, is that you left. She left. It's one thing if she didn't make it back, but she abandoned her in that moment. Doesn't matter if logically Asuna should have died. Like, there's no way she would have survived this if not for Kirito coming by and saving the day, but still. Doesn't matter how close you were before, that's gonna put a massive issue in any kind of friendship. Normal friendships aren't really set for these type of situations, right? This is the most extreme of tests for friendships. Most of the time, we never have to get this far to see if our friends would risk their lives for us. Hi, Kirito. I love this scene of Kirito in the movie because he's just so awkward. He wants to help, but he has no clue how to deal with the situation. Hell, he can't even look at her. And it also adds another level of consistency, right? Because it just, again, puts that this is his character. Just helping people, giving them a ton of resources. It's what he does with Lisbeth and, what's her name? This too! And he's such a noob. His signature, like, oh, sheath his sword. It's like, I can't do it. Bye! I'm just gonna walk away from him, too embarrassed. And this too, it just feels a tad plot forced that she wouldn't search her name in there, but I guess she's convinced that there's no way else she could have lived. So, but this dream is inherently creepy, right? There's no lights on, it's just a firelight. Her mother is immensely impressed by everything. They're all sitting apart from her. That finally got through floor 1. All this happened. She nearly died, and floor 1 only just happened. I really do believe that the biggest issue of SAO was the fact that they fast forwarded through this first game faster than they should have. This idea of hers, I want to remain me. That's just so... It just feels like an oxymoron. I'm not really an oxymoron. It just feels opposite. I can't remember any words when I'm recording. But the idea that you want to remain as you are, despite this situation, despite everything that you've forced to do, it's like, that's not possible. You are not the same. Even if you tried, you will not take this headset off and be the same person you were when you came back in. Still be me. Do you think that Asuna, who's bad at fighting games, could imagine you right now killing kobolds in a cloak? And I get this scene is all of her just fighting monsters solo. It's just so much like Kirito. Oh, the sword breaking on the last hit. This brings me back to Breath of the Wild. It's not like I saved you or anything. Come on, you know you saved her. Sure. You're just saying what she wants you to hear. Honestly, I would love to have more little, um, like side stories. I want to see more of Kirito just randomly helping people that aren't the main character. Because I'm sure he's done it more than once. I mean, we've seen him do it with all the girls, sure, but that's the thing. He's the Legend of the Black Swordsman. He's the guy who also helps everyone. Seeing the entire city makes it so much more interesting, especially that giant rope bridge in the middle. Kirito's face getting confused, like, wait, you're making this like studies? Diablo. It is he. There's like a blue-haired ponytail guy in the very beginning, and he is one of the beta testers too. So I'd assume that's Diablo. It would be just like Sao to hide the character in there like that. Again, the similarities between these two, Kirito and Asuna, are both panicking. Like, wait, what are we supposed to do? And she only looks calm and collected because she has the hood on. It's actually not surprising that later we found out that he's like the bad guy in charge of the first floor knights, because right here he under a cover of, hey, I'm trying to be a good guy, what he actually wants is to steal all the good stuff for himself. He's not altruistic as he pretends to be. Hey, look, and I didn't notice this either. In the movie, the guidebook actually has like a cover. In the original anime, it's just like, here, look, here's just a tiny book. And here she is with her giant scythe. Honestly, when watching this movie, the fact that Mito is so noticeably missing is just even weirder. Like, somehow, considering the whole memory theory, right? Kirito just blocked a purple woman with a freaking scythe out of his memory entirely. The anime is just like this like food wars type like thing where it's like, oh my god, it tastes so good. It's just hilarious. And then it's gone. Right? You eat something really good, and then, oh no, you already ate it, so it's done. Again, this has been. I said this already in this reaction, but I just want to say it again. Even when I watched the original anime, this idea of like I want to remain myself is so weird, because you know in the actions you're taking in this world that you are changing. Okay, you and deciding, oh, I want to fight instead of not. It's like, I don't know. It's weird. A bath. That's one of the things in this world. It's like, wait, baths. I need a bath more than anything. That's the thing. Do you think Sao stinks, or they've like really toned that down so that players don't get assaulted with disgusting smell? There it is. She, just a few reminders about the good parts of life are are what brings her back. Which is what she always talks about him showing her, right? There's still something to live for even in a game like this. How much money would Kirito earn if he sold all the excess equipment he saves to use on other people? Because you know for a fact that he definitely keeps this stuff because he's like on it, all, helping people. Like this, he leveled it up for her sake. Life changes who people are. Yes, new circumstances will reveal new sides to people. But it's not like, fine, yes, the fact that this is a game is being used as an excuse. We know that a whole cult of serial killers pops up in this world because they excuse the excuse that it's just a game. Yeah, see? That's the point. She doesn't remember any of that. Mito knowing, trying to get back to her. No, it's just, hey, she went after a monster, she never came back. Don't forget to hydrate, folks. Kirito, I love that Kirito continues to wax poetic about the nature of these games and how it changes people. The point where even he helps them kind of forgive her, kind of, or at least no longer hold a grudge. Because if she truly forgave Mito, then, these two would never happen. Just the fact that she keeps comparing it to school, because that's all she has experience with. To be fair, I don't have much experience with MMO games. I've played maybe Star Wars The Old Republic, but honestly, I just never had the time or interest to get into an MMO game. And I'm an introvert, so it's hard to be social in real life, much less try to figure out how to get friends online and try to coordinate. And again, going back, I never really just played that games very much back then. Absurd. Yeah. Normal. I don't know. See, the argument here is what normal is. What is your definition of normal? Normal could be like, yes, this life as you define it. Normal could be something you're used to doing every day. Because after all, my normal day is not the same as your normal day. Just that. It's like bathtubs. Better bathtubs if we get at higher levels. And here he is, the real Kobold Lord. And I love the fact that bosses in SAO have like the full opening cutscene. Like, if this is accurate, my mind is boggled how they turned it into that fat Ilfang. Always love it when the SAO theme starts playing. I don't think I mentioned it all in this movie, but it really starts hitting the pace up. At least, especially this part. Honestly, the amount of switches here are almost like a slap in the face to the whole I don't know how to switch joke in the anime version. Oof, just the animation of that implosion attack is so freaking threatening. Ilfang, this way, Ilfang is so much more of a boss monster than that first couple episodes could really make clear. I mean, I'm far more scared of this guy than the fat guy. Again, I figured they'd fix that in this version. At least try to heal him, and then he dies anyway because he's bleeding out or something. And you can't hear what he's saying this time because Kirito's not our point character. This too. In the original episode, everyone was just kind of standing there shocked. And here, they've legitimately been paralyzed, so this is a nice moment, right? It's forgiveness, it's like understanding, but it's not, well, I said forgiveness, but it's not like fully getting over it. The reveal. Shedding the cloak. I like that in this version, she's not just cut off her. And yes, the hood's cut off, but she willingly takes it off in this version. right? The burden of Mito leaving her behind, and that has been weighing on her so much, and that's been symbolized by the cloak on her. But now she's let it go. She's moved forward. And one thing that they've increased big time in the animation of the progressive movie compared to the anime is that the amount of particles on the on the various like effects, like the slashes and the powers, they're increased big time. And that becomes only clear when you're watching it with this, and this entire screen looks like a huge movie theater. Yeah, obviously, this is a movie, and it has so much more time than an episode, but this makes it so much more epic. You have to do so much more work to get its health down. And I love this, that he's still blaming him. It's like, he's right? No, you just totally ignore the fact that Diablo ran in on his own. Also, it's funny that there's some avatars with glasses now. And this too, the mania is so much worse in this one, because it's not just Diablo making all the accusations. Other people are too. I've been repeating myself a lot, but it's the point that such a huge thing isn't going to be given over that easily. It's going to hurt Mito a ton, but this event, leaving her to die, is just not something you can just be like, oh, sure, whatever, you're chill. She's moved on, and yeah. Asuna and Kirito as a duo are the best part of SAO, by far. Well, that's fun. I say a lot of things are the best part, because that's pretty freaking cool. But it's sure as hell one of the reasons I stayed watching the show. They completely dropped the whole Switch thing, but this is still hilarious. The fact that you never noticed that you have names next to your health bars the entire time. And you love that Kirito's face is just rendered as two dots for eyes. So this version of the conversation, I don't know if I'm remembering wrong, but it doesn't have the whole bit of, if you're someone you trust to ask you to join a party, you should do it. I don't know, it feels like such a significant conversation. Is it like taken from like a completely different part of the manga and is just put in that situation since they skipped a bunch of progressive, or what? Because it just makes it a little weird that they split off again for a few floors. Yeah, this is Argo, right? Wasn't this girl the one who was the information broker? And yeah, that's it. Genuinely, most of the SAO themes are in my top themes of all times. But among SAO, this first progressive is maybe third? The third of my top themes? And that was Aria of a Starless Night. I'm going to try to keep this simple, but thinking back to when I first watched this movie, it was spectacular. It was everything I wanted in Sword Art Online. Because like a lot of people, I repeated this many times, but the first bit of Sword Art Online, when it's actually in its namesake game, that is a spectacular story, it's a spectacular setting, and you just want to spend more time in it. That's why Progressive was created, so that we could go back and spend more time here. And yeah, Aria is great because it's clearly newer and more higher budget animation than it was back when the first season came out. And it's just a chance. I saw it in a movie theater. I don't know if you did, but just a chance to see it on the big screen was spectacular. And getting to visit Asuna as our point character instead of Kirito gives us looking at more things in this world than we could with just Kirito. Honestly, I loved this movie and the friendship between Mito and Asuna, and the idea that even the strongest of friendships, what appear to be the strongest of friendships, can splinter in the face of life and death. Right? You never really know how strong a friendship is until the bond is tested. It's it was really cool to see. Maybe it's just because it's late or what, but I can't think of anything else except to reiterate that I love this movie, and watching it again right now made me hype for the next progressive movie, which, if it's like last year, an English dub should be coming out in the US sometime in December. But just cross my fingers and hope. And also hope that an English dub of this movie comes out, because I'd like to hear it in that too. Japanese is fine, I have nothing against it, but I originally watched it in English, and I like to keep going in that way. Thank you so much for watching. If you got to this point, could you just leave a little comment? Just a hi. Nothing really crazy, just HI. Hit reply. That's all I need to make me feel better that people are getting this far instead of leaving after like 30 seconds. I really hope you enjoyed this reaction. What was your favorite part of this movie? Over here is the next reaction whenever that comes out. Over here is a playlist of my videos, and on my face is the subscribe button. Like, comment, subscribe, criticize even. I don't mind. See ya.